Now at 6, the woman shot by a Border Patrol agent in Portland appears in court for the first time. Plus,
it's designed to punish people that don't fit a specific mold.
Why the federal government is now investigating a local school district and what it has to do with sports.
Then later, it's home to a whole lot of history.
This particular aircraft is the F-14 Tomcat, which was, of course, made famous by Tom Cruise in the 1986 film Top Gun.
But see why this Oregon Coast Museum is facing an uphill battle to stay open.
Good evening. And first at 6, the plans for a brand new I-5 bridge over the Columbia just cleared a major hurdle. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Christine Pitawanich. The U.S. Coast Guard essentially signed off on a fixed span rather than a drawbridge, which could save about $1 billion. Catherine Cook is live for us in Vancouver tonight. Catherine, a green light here for the bridge, but the project is still short billions of dollars.
Yeah, Christine, David, while that $1 billion savings is still big, a draft document made public last week suggests that the total price tag for the bridge project could still be as much as $7 million over budget. Still, Washington Senator Maria Cantwell called today's Coast Guard approval a major step forward. The goal is to break ground on the crossing by September, but it's still unclear where that additional funding, again, several $1 billion, would come from. And there's another hitch. If the project doesn't break ground by September, project leaders say they could lose about $1.5 billion in federal grant funding. But for now, project leaders say not needing a drawbridge is a win for drivers.
A fixed span bridge means that folks won't get stuck in traffic. They won't have additional crashes, which we see go up when the bridge lifts. And there will be significant safety improvements on the corridor as we replace the Interstate bridge.
The next step is the federal environmental review. That step in the process has dragged on for years because essentially the project was waiting to decide whether or not they'd need a drawbridge or a fixed span. So now with today's Coast Guard announcement, at least they're one step closer to figuring that part out. Back to you.
I guess some progress there. Catherine Cook reporting live in Vancouver. Thank you, Catherine.
The woman shot by a Border Patrol agent last week in Southeast Portland made her first court appearance this afternoon and on immigration-related charges.
Our Kyle Aboshi was in the courtroom and recently returned to the newsroom. Kyle, what can you tell us?
Well, the woman, one of 2 people shot by Border Patrol, is being held at the Northwest Detention Center in Tacoma. Following today's hearing, she held her chest and grimaced in pain as she got up to leave.
Lennox Betsabeth Zambrano Contreras appeared by video before a federal judge in Portland. The 32-year-old is one of 2 people shot by a U.S. Border Patrol agent last week after allegedly ramming their truck into the officer's unoccupied vehicle. According to court records, federal agents conducting targeted enforcement spotted the driver, Luis Nino Moncada, and his passenger, Zambrano Contreras, in Southeast Portland. 6 federal agents in 4 unmarked vehicles made a traffic stop in the parking lot of an Adventist Health medical office. Agents say Nino Moncada appeared anxious and visibly moving, and after officers identified themselves, he repeatedly rammed the rented federal vehicle. A Border Patrol agent fired 2 shots. Nino Moncada drove off and called 911 for help.
Caller saying that he was shot twice by ICE and his wife was shot as well.
Nino Moncada was shot in the arm, Zambrano Contreras in the chest. She's being held at the Northwest Detention Center in Tacoma. Reporter Sharon Yu from our Seattle station spoke with Zambrano Contreras earlier this week.
She told me that she was doing okay. She showed me her gunshot wounds. There was 1 wound to her left chest and 3 under her right chest.
Zambrano Contreras is being held on a criminal complaint out of Texas, where prosecutors say she illegally entered the U.S. in 2023. Both federal officials and local police have linked Zambrano Contreras to a recent shooting in Portland and prostitution ring run by the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua.
For now, a judge has ordered the woman remain behind bars.
Kyle Aboshi with a follow-up. Thank you, Kyle. In an update, the last 100 Oregon Army National Guard members mobilized by the federal government in September are finally home.
Governor Tina Kotek and the Oregon Military Department sending us this video from PDX as the troops landed from Texas, where they had to travel to demobilize. The Pentagon, you'll remember, activated some 200 in September, with the president aiming to deploy them to protect federal buildings, including the South Waterfront ICE facility, which, because of court challenges, never happened.
Oregon will always have your back, no matter what the situation is, and I really appreciate your commitment, courage, and professionalism in this situation. So thank you and welcome home.
So now the troops are back under the governor's control.
Welcome home. So to a health alert tonight, with the Oregon Health Authority confirming a case of measles in Clackamas County.
So here is what OHA is saying. The person lives in Clackamas County and is unvaccinated. It is not clear yet if that person has recently traveled outside of the state, and it's not known if this case is linked to 2 previous cases from a week ago in Lynn County. Those people were unvaccinated as well. Though right now there are no known public exposures related to this most recent case. In your headlines, a Portland man is under arrest and facing almost 400 charges in a child sex abuse case. 26-year-old Fonte Gladen is accused of using hidden cameras to record 6 children and 5 adults in bedrooms and bathrooms. Authorities say he hid the cameras in cell phone power adapters and external batteries like the ones you see on your screen. Police say this was done inside private homes and to people the suspect knew. Gladen faces 385 felony charges.
After years of financial struggles, Portland's Rose Festival is reportedly considering more changes. According to the Oregonian, this year the Grand Floral and Starlight Parade could be moved to the same day, and the Junior Parade could move to a weekend time slot. The late spring staple in the Rose City has featured those 3 parades on their own dates for well over a century. PBOT confirms discussions around this have taken place, though festival officials caution they are still in the planning stages and nothing is final.
In Salem, a legal opinion from 1935 could mean voters will have the chance to vote on the transportation fee hikes come November. That's according to reporting by the Oregon Journalism Project. Governor Tina Kotek called on lawmakers to repeal the transportation funding bill during the short session after critics gathered enough signatures for a referendum effort. But the 90-year-old opinion by the then Attorney General of Oregon says that's not allowed. We'll have more on this saga ahead on the news at 6:30.
A new report from Portland State shows while homelessness is on the rise statewide, the number of people who are unsheltered is actually down. Between 2023 and 25, the overall number rose from about 20,000 to more than 27,000 people, with researchers pointing to economic insecurity and a shortage of affordable housing. The data came from the most recent point-in-time count, which is required by the federal government every 2 years.
To Washington County now, where the trial for a man accused of killing a Beaverton nurse is delayed as the state crime lab is still processing evidence. Prosecutors say Bryce Schubert killed his neighbor, Melissa Jubain, back in September of 2024. Schubert's attorneys asked a judge to delay the trial, initially set for March, because of the sheer volume of evidence to go through. The judge granted the delay, and so far, no new trial date has been set.
Developing this evening, the federal government has launched a formal investigation into Vancouver public schools.
That investigation around transgender students participating in sports. Jake Holter is live in Vancouver with those details. Jake.
Yeah, that's right, David and Christine. Vancouver is one of 18 school districts named in new Title IX investigations because they allow students to participate in sports based on their gender identity, not necessarily their biological sex.
Every time something like this comes up, it's just another attempt to erase them.
Deborah Porta is the executive director of Pride Northwest, who shared her thoughts after learning of the investigation.
It's designed to punish people that don't fit a specific mold as decided by another group of people.
In the release about the Title IX violation investigations in which Vancouver Public Schools is named, the Department of Education's Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights writes they are, quote, aggressively pursuing allegations of discrimination against women and girls by entities which reportedly allow males to compete in women's sports. Vancouver Public Schools Communications Director Jessica Roberts confirms the district received notice this week of the investigation and writes, quote, "We are reviewing the allegations but are unable to provide further comment while the investigation is pending." In the district's policy, it says, quote, "The district will provide all students, including students who are transgender and gender expansive, the opportunity to participate in physical education and athletic programs opportunities in a manner that is consistent with their gender identity." This comes as the Supreme Court took up a landmark case this week involving transgender athletes. The High Court's conservative majority signaled they would be prepared to side with Idaho and West Virginia and their bans.
When women compete against women, it is fair. When you put a man in women's athletics, it's not fair. And women have nowhere else to go. If you take away the fairness in our sports, we literally have nowhere else to go. So anyone can play sports, but where is it most fair? And for women, that's only against women.
A DOE investigation was opened on Portland Public Schools last year after a trans athlete competed in a girls' track meet. A spokesperson for PPS says there has been no update in that investigation.
It's definitely not making anyone's lives better. It's not making sports better. It's not making our country better. It's not doing any of those things. So what are we trying to achieve?
And we've reached out to the DOE Office of Civil Rights for more details on what specifically prompted this investigation into Vancouver Public Schools, but didn't receive any reportable information. Requests for comment from local conservative groups also went unanswered. David and Christine?
That's Jake Holter in Vancouver tonight. Thank you, Jake. All right, if you've been waiting for the right time to buy a home, 2026 could be your year.
So after years of sellers calling the shots, experts say buyers are starting to get a little more leverage. Tonight on Straight Talk, experts say the Portland metro area's housing market is starting to level out with a more balanced feel than we've seen in many years. Affordability remains a big challenge for a number of families, but mortgage rates have slowly dropped and now sit at their lowest level in 3 years, helping some buyers get back into the market.
We are kind of in a transition period. So the answer is we have kind of a balanced market. For the first time in a really long time, we have been solidly in seller territory for a good 10, 12, 13 years.
Wow.
And buyers are having a little more leverage than they've had in a long time right now.
More than half of homes sold in the Portland metro last year fell between $300,000 and $600,000. It's a price point McGee there says it's more accessible to the average home buyer. You can watch the full conversation tonight at 7 on Straight Talk or anytime on our free TV app, KGW+.